Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in for another Flowfish video. This evening, I want to talk to you guys about Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. It's 12:04 a.m., Friday morning, I should say. Game 2 just ended, and honestly, what an incredible game between Las Vegas Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes. Such a back and forth game, really incredible to watch. Such an entertaining game. I just wanted to talk a little bit about it because I was just tuning in and checking it out. I truly enjoyed it. It was a fun game to watch. It kept you on the edge of your seat. I want to start with the Carolina Hurricanes. Honestly, I think this is such a huge character win for them. You go through the first 2.5 periods, and their attack was relentless, but they just could not break through the Vegas defense. They never stopped. They stayed persistent. They stayed resilient, and it wasn't until a little less than halfway through that third period that Stankoven was able to put one in the back of the net, and that was a huge boost of morale for the team. They really needed that, and they were putting in all this effort, and finally they were able to get one. And it wasn't a pretty one, but sometimes you just got to get the work done and put it on net. And it took a funny deflection off the Vegas defender, and before you know it, it's instead of 2-0, it's 2-1, and that just boosted them. Then they go ahead a few minutes later, and Janikowski had a beautiful shot, top right corner to beat Carter Hart and tie the game up. It was incredible. Carrier had a huge play on the blue line to not only stay on side but also get the puck over to Jankowski, and Jankowski just took care of business, put it right where Mama hides the cookies. What a turnaround from a game that was 2-0. Vegas looked like they had it totally in hand. They're going to close it out and go up 2-0 in the series and take it back to Vegas. And now we're looking at a game that's tied with 8 minutes left. Who and what's going to happen here? So game continues on, and about 3-4 minutes later on the power play, Carolina strikes again, and Gostafer had a huge shot from the blue line. Jordan Stahl set up a great screen, able to get a stick on it, and that one finds the back of the net. And again, Carolina was rolling. They just kept it on, kept the pressure. They were able to find the results they needed, and they didn't give up, even though for 2.5 periods they couldn't show for it. They didn't have anything on the score sheet. And it looked like Vegas was just going to shut them out, honestly. Vegas ended up getting a late goal in the third period to tie it up again and get it 3-3. A huge play from Mark Stone at the end of their power play. And with the goalie pulled with about a minute 30 left in the period, Vegas is able to equalize, and we're like, holy smokes, we're going to overtime. What's going to happen next? And again, Carolina staying consistent, staying on top of it all. They go to overtime. They get a power play from a bad tripping play from Thomas Hurdle, and they take care of business. Gostisbehere, again, quarterbacking the power play, makes the pass over to Seth Jarvis, who one time's in the back of the net for a huge game-winning goal. And a huge boost for Carolina because they really needed that. And I think that was a huge character win for them. Again, you go through 2.5 periods in that game, and you're down 2-0. The chips are stacked against you. The clock's winding down, and you score 3 goals in the third period to stay alive and take the lead at one point, and then come back again in overtime to finish it out and close up game 2. Put that one in the back pocket. Just a lot of props to them. They played a really great team game. Their attack was relentless. Their forechecking was unreal, and it just took them some time to figure out the defensive puzzle of Vegas and put some in the back of the net and stop maybe trying to make the pretty play and just put it on net and really put pressure on Carter Hart to make the save. I'm gonna want to focus a little more on Vegas and how they approached the game. I think it was a huge disadvantage for Vegas to loop Braden McNabb early in the first period. He took a slap shot up in the facial area from Nikolai Ehlers, and he immediately went off the ice, and he did not return because it looked like he sustained some pretty severe damage. Luckily, he was able to skate off under his own power. Thoughts or prayers are certainly with Braden McNabb. Certainly he's okay, and it's not a life-threatening injury, but that just also depleted Vegas's defense. They play with 5 defensemen for the rest of the night. And although they were able to hold Carolina at bay, at one point the floodgates opened, and it was going to be difficult for Vegas to try and close them back up. I thought it was interesting, too, because Carolina really did a good job at controlling the play and controlling the check and being persistent with that attack. But Vegas was the one with the goals. It seemed like they got these lucky bounces and on these broken plays and were able to capitalize them and give them that scoring advantage. Howden had a fantastic game. The first goal he had showed his strength and physicality and was able to deliver on a big goal to put them up 1-0. And then he does it again in the second period to give them the 2-0 lead. So he he played a fantastic game, and a lot of props to him. At one point, he even had a chance for a third one. But again, it wasn't enough. And I think part of that was them losing McNabb and being depleted on the defensive side. And Carolina was incredibly physical in this game. We look at the shots, and it was 26-26 apiece. So we're even on shots. And we look at the hits. Vegas had 25 hits in the game. Carolina had 46. Carolina nearly had double the amount of hits that Vegas had in this game. And I think that played a huge part in it. Being down a defenseman, dealing with the physicality, feeling some of that fatigue and that war of attrition, which is a hockey game as you're going through the 3 periods. And I think that helped Carolina find that success later in the game to score these goals and give them that opportunity to win, which they were able to close out. In the face-off circle, Carolina beat out Vegas 35-27. Both teams had 4 power play opportunities. Vegas was 0-4 on the power play. So you can look back in that and wonder, if Vegas had been able to capitalize on these power play opportunities, that they wouldn't be in this position and they wouldn't have lost that game. Although their third goal came at the end of their power play and the second one. So you could argue a little gray area there, but again, being at least 50% on your power play could have changed the outcome of the game tremendously for Vegas. And then on the other side for Carolina, they were successful in 2 of their power plays, so they were 2 for 4. And again, that's kind of the difference maker here in a game that was 4-3 Carolina in overtime. So all these little margins add up and certainly I think favored the side of Carolina. And I just give them a lot of props, man. That was a huge character win for them. Looking like they were down and out from the start and just coming back almost out of nowhere. It felt like the storm surge was real and they took over and they washed Vegas right out in game 2. I think the goalkeeping was pretty good from both sides. We did have a very controversial play at the end of towards the end of the third period, where it was a loose puck and it looked like Anderson may have covered it. And then the puck slid into the back of the net. I think you could argue both sides. Frankly, I think it was on the official whether he blew the whistle and called for the frozen puck. But I don't think it was goaltender interference, frankly. I think it was either you called the frozen puck or the puck was not frozen because you didn't blow your whistle and it slid in the back of the net, so it's got to be a goal. But I could see kind of both sides, and I think they should have just picked one instead of calling it goaltender interference. I think that was kind of a cop-out. And again, that you could argue too that put Vegas in a tough spot because that's when Carolina scored their third goal of the game. Tortorella challenged it, which I think rightfully so, because it didn't look like goaltender interference. It's a loose puck. Nobody's covered it. We're stabbing at it, and it found its way in the back of the net. So you either called it dead or you didn't call it dead, and it should have been a goal. But they challenge it and they lose the challenge. So that's when Carolina gets that power play and they're able to score that third goal. So just a really exciting game. It's great to see the Stanley Cup Finals playing in like this, especially after a high-scoring first game, which was very exciting to watch. So just want to give a lot of props out to Carolina after a huge second win in Game 2. And we're going back to Vegas for Game 3, so we'll see what happens. That was just a little analysis of Game 2, guys, for the NHL, for all my hockey fans and NHL fans out there. Let me know your thoughts or what you thought about the game, if you agree with me or disagree with me, and I'll see you in the next one.